Hey guys, this is Joe from Prime Cuts blog. We are back to doing our Prime Cuts TV video, and today I want to talk about something that's simple yet important, in particular to me and my steakhouse, mashed potatoes. We're talking about the real kind, not the boxed powdered mashed potatoes, not the frozen pop them in your microwave mashed potatoes, but real skin on, we peeled these ourselves, mashed potatoes. And there's a right way and a wrong way, as I said. Today we're going to show you the right way. That's what we like to do. So, what we have here are some potatoes that have been boiled until soft, and more importantly than that, before we boiled them, we peeled them. And after we peeled them, we rinsed them thoroughly. You have to do this to get all the starch off them. If you don't, all that starch is going to boil in with them. It's going to make them gummy, stick together, not sit well, not keep well, and God forbid you even do this, not reheat well. But these have been thoroughly rinsed. They have been boiled until they are soft, tender. You can always check this by just taking your tongs, giving them a squeeze as they're cooking. If it feels like they're still crispy or uncooked, they're probably not. When they're nice and soft and good to go, that's when you want to drain them, and drain them well. You can overboil these, which is something you want to avoid, and you'll end up with mush. But if you've got chunks of potato that are still soft, that is the right stage. So, the first thing, and another very important thing that you need to do with your mash, is before you add anything, before you add any ingredients, butter, cream, salt, chives, whatever, that will alter the temperature of these things, mash them. You're going to get lumpy potatoes if you add cold and hot before they're already mashed to a smooth puree. So that's what we're going to do. Just use a little hand masher. You can put them in a stand mixer if you want to do it that way. You can use a big electric thing. You could use a whisk if you really wanted to. As long as you've got them cooked enough, it's still going to mash well. And what we're going to do is just mash away for a couple minutes here, get them totally smooth, come right back and show you how we flavor these guys. Alright, so these potatoes are now mashed smooth. I can feel that there are next to no lumps in them, and we're at the point where we can add our flavoring elements without fear of chilling them and creating lumpy mashed potatoes, which some people like. You get that home style feel. That's not what we're going for. So, ingredients that we've got: butter, salt, some chopped chive, white pepper, and heavy cream. You could use milk, you could use half and half, but we like the real stuff, the fattening stuff, the more flavorful stuff here. I did 20 potatoes for reference, all-purpose russets, average size, and to this we have our butter. It's about a pound and a half, or a stick and a half, which is approximately a third of a pound. So I'm just going to give it a few good pinches. Always add a little less than you need, and then you can reflavor if you have to. Chives, small bunch or half a bunch. It's kind of a flavor that's secondary and it goes a long way. White pepper, if you're not familiar with it, you haven't used it before, be careful with it. It's much stronger than black pepper. The reason we use white here is so we don't have too many competing colors, and we have a nice looking potato where the only discernible difference is the flecks of chive, which are seen in the nice white or off-white color mash. So first thing I always do is, you can kind of think of it in terms of temperature. Spice, not very cold. Chives don't really contain much cold. Butter and cream, cold. So we're going to add the cold stuff last and start with the non-temperature affecting ingredients. So that right there is what we call 2 big kitchen pinches. 3 fingers, 4 fingers, get a lot, put it in there. White pepper, when you add it, don't hover over it because you don't want to breathe it in, especially when it gets the hot. And that was like 3 small shakes. It's kind of an aroma thing. You can smell it right away. Stop adding it. You've got enough. And these we just want to incorporate. We're going to keep mixing, so it doesn't need to be perfect. Mash them in there a little bit. Get them going. Little potatoes fly all over the place, but if they don't, you're not mashing hard enough. So we got that. We're going to throw in the chives. Get those going. Oops, let's go with salt. Keep mashing them up, just kind of fold it in as you mash. Make sure you make good contact with the bottom and the corners. That way we don't have any secret pieces of unmashed potatoes that are going to come back and find themselves on a customer's plate at 8 o'clock tonight. So we got that next. We're going to add our heavy cream and our butter. I like to do the butter before the cream. Kind of gets melting better that way. The cream's already liquid, so it doesn't need to melt. And just kind of bury them, let them go for a while, let the heat that's in the potatoes do its thing, and make the butter all happy and soft. So while I let that kind of sit for a second and melt up, I am going to show you a little chef trick, a little something that we can do here to make them as smooth as possible. And that is finish your potatoes with a whisk. If you can't do this, you haven't cooked them enough, you haven't mashed them enough, you haven't done something enough. Whisk should be able to fly right through it, and that means you've got soft, fluffy, there's air in there, you've got a good texture, and every ingredient is incorporated as perfectly and as evenly as possible. So just get in there. You can see just from the trail that the whisk made that these are some smooth mother mashed potatoes, and they're going to be good. Butter's pretty much melted completely, which means I can add the cream without fear of changing the temperature so much that the butter will stop melting. And that looks good. Cream, don't want to overdo it. Start small. We're going to call that about a quarter to a half of a cup. And mix slowly so you don't splash yourself, especially if you're wearing a black chef coat like I am. And oh yeah, I can smell, I can hear, I can feel that these are the kind of mashed potatoes that I like. Looks like they need a little bit of cream. It's kind of it's a starch, so as it sits, it's going to continue to absorb like a pasta would if you let it sit in its cooking water. Water in this case is the cream and the melted butter. I'm going to add a little bit more to make it perfect. We're going to call that a little less than a quarter of a cup. And mix, mix, mix. Again, making sure you get those corners, get all that goodness in there. We're also getting some air in there with the whisk, because it is a texture thing. At least as far as I'm concerned, when I use mashed potatoes, they have two purposes. One is they taste good. Two is they're structural. These can add as good glue, a building block, for you to stack your pan-seared salmon on if you caught that episode, or they can just absorb the veal demi-glaze if you're eating a grilled ribeye at my restaurant. So here we go. I'm going to call those done. You kind of want that sort of texture. Call that stiff peaks, if you're familiar with those terms. And the real test. Get them in there. Shouldn't be too hot. You can see it's not like a total puree. It's got some structure, and it tastes good. The first thing I taste is potato. The second things I taste are butter and salt. I feel that's the way it should be. It's not mashed potato, or it is mashed potato. It's not Parmesan or provolone or whatever else you might put in there. I want to taste that potato first, and I do. So there you have it. Kind of a simple topic, but there's a right and a wrong way. You saw the right.